it comes to threats, we usually talk about cyber attacks from the outside. But at the same time, we do have insider threat, and this context is rapidly evolving, especially during the last years. And one of the best solutions in terms of insider threat is going for a zero trust strategy. And I repeat, a zero trust strategy, not a ZTNA solution.
Très bien, merci, très beau panel. On a 40 minutes pour essayer de faire notre prise. S'intéresse de plus en plus aux aspects cyber.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. Pleasure to meet everyone. I speak English, so yes. I would like to answer all questions in English. So nowadays, the majority of these challenges that face these small and medium businesses comes to a lack of resources. Mainly, the lack of resources concerned with financial resources, because small companies cannot invest like hugely in these like advanced technologies or even like AI-backed technologies like the previous conference. So most of these companies are trying to approach open source security solutions, and this is one of the good things that we have in our let's say information security community as a let's say a global scale. So most of these solutions can be integrated by only having, let's say, bare metal infrastructure. So by only having a server, you can integrate the different types of security solutions that you might need in your information system. But at the same time, information security is not only about integrating solutions, because we usually, especially in Algeria, we sometimes forget the other important aspects. Like most of companies think directly like, okay, let's get an antivirus, let's get a firewall, let's get an EDR, DLP, whatever the type of solution you want. But all of these technologies cannot work without the proper processes and people as well. So here we have two other challenges, so people and processes. Now when it comes to processes, these companies usually do not have a formal procedure in how to handle this type of incident, how to handle this type of event, how to log a user, how to properly accord, let's say, identity and access for the different personnel. And at the same time, we do have people. So in Algeria nowadays, unfortunately, we do have a league of skilled people. Like we all know, let's say, Hijrat al-Admira. So we have too many people are leaving the country. So this makes us vulnerable because we do not have the sufficient resources that will be helping our companies, advising them, auditing them, and so on, providing that extra added value on top of security solutions. So in this case, as an example, we can rely on coordination and cooperation with the different organizations that do exist in Algeria. We have some governmental ones, and we do have non-profit ones. So if we talk about the government side, we do have the ASI and CNOSI, l'Agence de sécurité de système d'information, et le Conseil national opérationnel de la sécurité de système d'information. So these two, let's say, important organizations in Algeria, they do exist under, let's say, the casket of the Ministry of National Defense. They are helping coordinate efforts in terms of incident response and security operation capabilities in order to help mitigate these risks, whether they are internal or external, because when we talk about security risks, we usually talk about threats and vulnerabilities. So these vulnerabilities can be technical or people-related vulnerabilities, but when it comes to threats, we usually talk about cyber attacks from the outside. But at the same time, we do have insider threat, and this context is rapidly evolving, especially during the last years. And one of the best solutions in terms of insider threat is going for a zero trust strategy. And I repeat, a zero trust strategy, not a ZTNA solution, because too many people do usually misunderstand the difference between the concept of zero trust, like never trust, always verify, and ZTNA solutions like major technology providers do provide. And at the same time, we do have to keep on relying on let's say non-profit organizations such as OWASP, Algiers, CSA, and so on. These chapters are usually part of global organizations that are working to advance the profession by providing free trainings, resources, like Mehdi said, standards, frameworks, and so on. And usually we try to
close the gap in terms of security awareness, because this is also one of the major concerns, whether it is for small and medium businesses or even for huge corporates or even multinational ones. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can switch to English, French, both.
No worries.
Ok. Alors, les questions du public, je les pose aussitôt pour gagner du temps. Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui nous avons
It's a very interesting question, by the way. Actually, when we talk about DORA, NIST and all of these types of regulations, we need to understand the context that is applicable, or the scope of applicability for this regulation. So in this case, DORA and NIST are applicable usually in Europe and more specifically on financial institutions. But okay, usually we do have some third-party services, so in a way or another, directly or indirectly, you might be implicated with this DORA, NIST, and other types of regulations like the CRA, Cybersecurity Act, and so on. But there is a very, very simple solution, which is called an EMS, an Integrated Management System. So usually we do use this approach when we are dealing with ISO management systems, like 9001 and ISMS based on 2701 and so on. But the trick is that we can do a mapping between DORA clauses or requirements, NIST requirements, and the RMSI as an example, and the ISO 2701. So we can do a mapping about these, let's say, 4 types of regulations, laws, frameworks, and standards. We can sort out an overall map applicable to our scope of organization, and we can apply the majority of these clauses or controls only once. So this will save us time, it will save us resources, it will save us even effort, and it will assure us that we will meet the deadlines, especially when dealing with laws and regulations. Like in Algeria, we do have the 1807 law, the equivalent of the GDPR or RGPD, la Régulation Générale de Protection des Données. So in the majority of cases, we can use this approach in order to implement only once a system that usually will be compliant, let's say, approximately 90 or 95% with other laws and regulations applicable, like no matter where you are located or no matter like the type of business that you are doing in your certain industry. Thank you.
En fait, expliquer ces points.
Here, just to provide a brief answer, we have a concept that's called ESP. Usually it's used in France. C'est l'intégration de la sécurité dans in English, Secure Software Development Lifecycle. So we have to integrate the different security controls, processes, and so on, starting from the conception of your business or IT-related project. So one of the things that I recommend you to go to is the NIST SSDF, the Secure Software Development Framework. It is one of the major frameworks that are like freely available. You can download it, use it, and start following its different guidelines. And you can also refer to the OWASP, the Open Worldwide Application Security Project frameworks, referentials, and toolkits. They can also help you choose the appropriate security measures, but do implement them based on a risk management approach. You have to do your risk assessment exercise in place during your technological or even your business process. That's it.
Ok. Est-ce que l'implémentation de RMSI...
C'est-à-dire qui a été convoitise de par sa position, de par stratégique, de par ses richesses, de par sa position, bien sûr, politique. Donc on ne peut pas rester au voir tout ce qui se fait. Donc on évolue comme un contexte régional, international. Hein. Donc il faut voir jusqu'à la position du gouvernement avec l'Algérie pour avoir une idée sur ce qui menace qui nous guette. Donc ça nous incite à plus d'un titre de développer des stratégies pour contrer toutes ces attaques-là. Donc,
on a des questions. Les organismes publics sont de loin plus affichés. Les organismes publics sont trop rigides et peu réactifs face à l'évolution de la cybersécurité. Ne serait-il pas opportun de penser à d'autres façons de faire pour les convaincre? Vous en vécu un code.
Tout à l'heure, je pose la question. Donc, une loi 2001, c'était 5 mois après, elle a été promulguée, mais le texte d'application, on sait pas.
Je dirais rigide, peut-être que ce n'est pas le terme approprié. Après, quand on voit ce qui a été réalisé en Algérie en termes de. C'est-à-dire, les États ils sont évalués sur 4 ou 5 critères, puis l'aspect juridique, l'aspect technologique l'aspect monter en capacité et tout. Donc il y a ces aspects-là sont en Algérie. Si on voit qu'il y a la création de l'agence en 2020, la loi 1807, il y a beaucoup de textes sur l'aspect juridique. L'agence est là, elle travaille, donc il y a un conseil national de sécurité du système d'information qui a la tâche de définir cette stratégie-là. Donc il y a l'agence qui agit au niveau opératif. Il y a, tout à l'heure, M. ELHOUARI a parlé aussi du Conseil national opérationnel du système d'information. Donc on aimerait bien qu'il soit réactif parce que c'est vrai que dire qu'il n'y a pas d'attaque en Algérie, il y a des attaques en Algérie. Il n'y a pas de remontée, il n'y a pas de signalement, donc c'est malheureux. Il faut qu'on ait cette panoplie-là de menaces qui sont signalées. Et il y a un aspect très important, hein, c'est-à-dire pour créer cet écosystème-là, il faut qu'il y ait de la coopération entre le privé et le public, ça c'est très important. On ne peut pas rester tous les acteurs sur la ligne. Il faut qu'on ait, si vous voulez, qu'on avance, si vous voulez, qu'on réponde d'une manière unie en force pour avoir, c'est-à-dire une réponse globale à une menace qui guette notre pays, aux institutions, aux organisations. Il faut qu'il y ait de la coopération, bien évidemment, il faut de la coopération aussi avec les partenaires étrangers, parce qu'on évolue dans un contexte. Si on voit certains pays africains, on a en Algérie, de signaler les alertes israéliennes, les attaques, pour qu'ils fassent un cas d'école et se prémunir et plutôt informer toutes les organisations pour qu'on ne tombe pas une seconde fois dans le même problème. Ça, c'est très important. Donc, on y travaille, on avance. Normalement, c'est vrai, maintenant, il y a le public, le privé, il est là, donc il n'y a pas de légitimité, je pense. Il faut juste unir nos forces pour avoir, c'est-à-dire répondre à une stratégie.
D'accord. Ok.
I'd just like to add a side comment. So I perfectly agree. Thank you very much for the comments that you provided. Usually we can simplify this by collaboration, coordination, and cooperation. And this is one of the major critical things that we should have in Algeria with its different allies and different countries and so on. And for your information, the CNOSI, that is part of the ASI agency, it will play the role of the National Algerian CERT, the Computer Emergency and Response Team. So for coordinating cyber attacks, conducting incident response efforts, and so on. So things are moving forward. Hopefully, we'll be able to accelerate all of these initiatives, inshallah.
Très bien. Peut-on faire de la mobilité